In the last lecture, we started with the types of graphs. Today, we'll see the operations on graphs. So, what are the different operations that we can do? Here, we are going to discuss only few operations, but there are so many other operations are there. So, here, three operations we are going to see in this. First one is extracting subgraphs, conversions of graphs, and modifications of graphs. Extracting subgraph means how you can extract a subpart of the given graph. So how can you start with and how can you get the subpart of the given graph? That is what is called extracting subgraph. Next one is conversion of graphs. It deals with how to convert from the directional to the undirectional, uh, undirected to the directional and directional to the undirectional. So how this particular conversion can be done and how can you go for reversing of the graph, these kind of things. Modifications of graph. So if you want to remove the loops or if you want to remove any vertices or edges, how it can be modified. This kind of operations we are going to see in these three topics. So extracting subgraphs. Subgraph means it is the part of the main graph. So that means whatever the edges connected to the vertices in the main graph, the same kind of pattern must be observed in the subgraph also. For example, if you look at the given graph here, so without edges, if you look at, so whatever the dots we are going to see here, so this is also a kind of graph. So what this graph is said to be? So we don't have any edges, only simply dots are there. So what kind of graph it is? We have seen in the last lecture. So what kind of graph it is? It's a null graph. So null graph, that is because if you want to start with any graph, first of all, you need to go for putting of nodes first, then you will go for the connection of the edges. So this null graph can also be, null graph of a graph, main graph, can also be considered as the subgraph. Next one is subgraph 2. That means you are going to ignore some edges. So thereby still it will form the subgraph because all the vertices which are present in the main graph is also available in the subgraph. Only few edges are not there. So the subgraph can be extracted in such a way that removing one or more vertices from the vertex set. So either you may remove one vertex or more than one vertex. For example, even if I remove this vertex, still it is a subgraph of this graph because it is following the same pattern that is available in the main graph. Next one is removing one or more edges from the edge family. Here one edge was removed, still it is a part of this because it is almost following the same pattern which is available in the main graph. Only these edges are not there. And removing either vertices or edges from the graph. So these are the three ways where you can get with the subgraphs. Next one is neighborhood graph. Neighborhood graph is also a kind of extracting subgraph concept. That means first you will start with one vertex and we'll observe what are the neighbors of the particular vertex. So how can you understand what are the neighbors of the vertex unless until there is an edge connected to that. So the neighborhood of a graph G of B comma E only makes sense when we mention it with respect to a given vertex set. That means even though you have given a big graph, but you have to give the first vertex set. If V is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we can find out neighborhood of the graph of G of V comma E for vertex set 1. So we are starting with 1. So you may start with any vertex of your choice. Either you may start with 4 also. If you start with 4, what are the connecting edges to the 4, 3 and 1? So that can be taken as the neighborhood graph. And if you take 1, then 2 and 4 are the connecting edges. So this can be considered as the neighborhood graph. If you consider 3, then 2 and 4, so which is the connecting edges. So connecting vertices. So this can be considered as the neighborhood graph. So here in the diagram, it was shown that from 1, the vertex has been considered, the neighboring vertices. So this is the neighborhood graph for vertex set 1. Actually, it is just like the operation of, there are two popular operations in the graph, which is called depth first search, DFS. Another is breadth first search, BFS. Depth first search means the principle is like this. You can make note of this. Anyhow, because this slides may not be covered in this actually. Depth first search and breadth first search is a very, very important graph traversing method. Depth, D-E-P-T-H, depth first search. Okay, depth first search. Second one is breadth first search. So depth first search means visit the children before visiting the siblings. Visit the children before visiting the siblings. So if you start with a vertex, first you have to visit the children of the particular vertex before visiting its sibling. Okay, this is called depth. You are going depth. Okay. It is just like your tree traversal. The tree traversal techniques will be there, which is called where you go for parent. From parent to you visit left, then it's left, okay, and right. Okay, so this way of traversal is said to be depth first search traversal. Okay. So first visit the children before visiting its sibling. That is called the depth first search traversal. While coming to the breadth first search traversal, visit the sibling before visiting the children. Visit the sibling before visiting the children. So here, if I consider 4, if I start with 1, for example, in case of breadth first search, first you are supposed to visit the siblings. So here there is no sibling for 1. So here there is no sibling for 1. So obviously you cannot visit any sibling. Now you visit either 2 or 4. Okay, you visit either 2 or 4 because these are the children of 1. 2 and 4 are the children of 1. Now you are seeing in the inverted way. Okay, you look at it in this way. Okay, you take 4 up and 2 and you take 1 to the upside direction, so that you will be having the children of 2 and 4. Right? So first you visit the children 2, 4. Okay, 2 and 4 are the set. So before visiting 2 children, visit the sibling. Okay, before visiting 2 children, visit the sibling. This is called breadth first search. So you are going to the breadth of the graph. Okay, you are going to visit the breadth of the graph. Next one is depth first search. Okay. Next you are going for the depth first search. In the depth first search, what will happen is first you visit the children before going to sibling. Okay. So here, what is the sibling here? So what is the children of 1? 2. Next children of 2 is 3. Next 3 children is 5. Okay. Then you go for visiting the 4 finally. So here breadth and depth. So these are the 2 things that we are going to consider. In case of depth, we use the elementary data structure called stack for help. Okay. While coming to the breadth, we will consider Q as the operation for taking the help in going for the traversal. So in the BFS, the Q will be used. In the DFS, stack will be used. You might have seen in the tree programming also, if you want to go for this traversal, okay, you may use recursion. Okay, you may use recursion. That is a pre-order traversal, post-order traversal, in-order traversal. Okay. So for that you will use recursion. Without recursion also you can do it. But if you use recursion, what will happen? Stack is the operation that you are going to consider. Okay, recursion can be easily dealt with using stacks. So wherever DFS is there, you have to take the help of stack. Wherever BFS is there, you have to take the help of a Q. So this is what the BFS and DFS traversal techniques. So if you use the DFS on the graph G, for example, if you consider 1, so 1 children, 2 and 4. So 2 and 4, first you visit 2 for example, next is 4. You push it into the stack. Okay. DFS requires stack to be. push into the stack, 2, 4. Okay. Now, what is on top of the stack? 4 is there. Then you take 4, then push its children. Okay. What is the 4 children? 3. You push it into the stack. What is on top of the stack? 3 is there. Now 4 already visited, so you remove the 4 from the stack. So 3. What is 3 children? 5. You push it in the stack. What is on top of the stack? 5. So 3 is over, 5 is over. What is left over? 2. You visit 2. So this is the way you go for the BFS take Q. Okay. So first in, first out. Q is first in, first out. So you place 2 and 4, you visit 2 and 4. So you are visiting 4. What is its children? 3. You put it 3. What is 3's children? 5. That's all. Clear? So simple stack out Q operation. And one more thing you remember, it depends upon what is the starting vertex. This order will depend upon what is starting vertex. If you consider starting vertex as 5, you may get different order. If you take the starting vertex as 4, you may get different order. That is the reason you have to write a program in such a way that you have to give the choice to the user for what is the starting vertex. Okay. So you should not fix this vertex. From this vertex only this is possible. No. You have to provide the choice to the user. He has to enter what is the starting vertex. From that, your operations will go on. Clear? Now is spanning tree. A spanning tree of a connected graph G of V comma E is a subgraph that is also a tree and connects all vertices in V. So that means here spanning tree is one which is a kind of subgraph only. In which all edges will not be there. Minimum number of edges. With minimum number of edges, all vertices will be connected. So for this also you are supposed to go for traversal. Without traversal you cannot get the vertex. Okay. Either you have to go in any order and you have to get you have to visit all the vertices, then only you will get this particular spanning tree. So a spanning tree of a connected graph G of V comma E is a subgraph that is also a tree and connects all vertices in V. For a disconnected graph, the spanning tree would be the spanning tree of each component respectively. So in the disconnected graph means there may be some separate subgraphs into there. It is not connected with some particular common edge or some other thing. So which we will call it as a subgraph. Sorry, it is disconnected graph. So obviously, disconnected graph will not be having a particular spanning tree. Each and every individual subgraphs will be having their own spanning tree. Yeah, you are asking some question. Please remember again, you can make note of this. The order will always differ with respect to the starting vertex. What is the starting vertex you are taking? For example, here in this case, it is looking like a tree fashion. So what I will do is I will start with 3. Then the order will differ. What are its children? 3 children are 5, 2, and 4. 5, 2, and 4. So the order differs, right? So it depends on the starting vertex. So spanning tree is one which is a subgraph of the given graph with a connected minimum number of edges. With all minimum number of connected edges, all the vertices will be connected. Conversion from directed graph to undirected graph. This is the simplest conversion possible. A directed graph has directions represented by arrow. In this conversion, we just remove all the arrows and don't store in the direction path information. Okay. Just don't store in direction information. You have, for example, 2 to 3, there is a path means 2 to 3 path is there, again 3 to path 2 is also there is a path. Just like that you will mention it. So note that the graph remains unchanged in terms of its structure. Even though you change from direction to the undirected, the graph will not change. The structure will be like that. However, we can choose to remove edges if there are multi-edges, but it is strictly not required. This is the simple conversion of directed to undirected. Next one is conversion from undirected graph to the directed graph. So this conversion gives the directed graph given an undirected graph. So it is, the trick is to achieve this. This is to add one edge for each existing edge in the edge family. So already from between these two, one edge is there. You add a directional edge here, and you go for the directional edge in this reverse manner. In programming part of view, either previous one or this one, you don't have any difference. The same thing is from 2 to 3. If you have a link, then 3 to 2 also you'll be having the same link. But if it is a weighted graph, then you may get some change because anyhow in the undirected graph, if you put a weight of 30, either you give the arrow mark from vertex 1 to vertex 2 or vertex 2 to vertex 1, the weight is always 20 only. But if you want to change the weights, then the matrix may change. Okay, except in that cases, the remaining matrix will be common. Once an extra edge are added, we just assign opposite direction to each pair of edges between the connecting vertices. Reversing the graph, if you have a graph and you have formed the adjacency matrix for that, if you want to get the reverse of the graph, then you should transpose the matrix. If you transpose the matrix, you will get the reverse of the given graph. So reversing a graph is an operation meant for directed graphs. To reverse a graph, we reverse the direction of each edge. The reverse graph has the same vertex set as the original graph because there is no change in the vertex set. Same vertex set will be there, but only the directions will differ. So in order to reverse this direction, the only thing is just to transpose the adjacency matrix of this graph is the transpose of the matrix, adjacency matrix of the original graph. So whatever the graph you have taken, you form the adjacency matrix and give the transpose, it will become the reverse. And one more thing is this reversing of the graph is allowed for the directed graphs. Even if you take the transpose of the undirected graph, also the same is the matrix that you will get, because in the path is from the two-way. Deriving a simple graph. Simple graph is one that which don't have any self loops or loops. Okay. If you look at the adjacency matrix, the diagonal matrix, the diagonal of the matrix will always be 0. If you have diagonal elements as 0 in the adjacency matrix, then you can assume that there is no self loop. Okay. A simple graph by definition must not contain any self loops or multi edges. A graph can contain loops and multiple edges. This operation shall remove the loops and multiple edges from the graph to obtain a simple graph. The adjacency matrix of such graph will surely have the diagonal elements as 0. Okay. Because there is no self loops. So if you have given an adjacency matrix, if there exists some diagonal elements as non-zero elements, then you can assume that there is a loop in the graph. So simply you make all the diagonal elements as 0, then the loops will be removed, it will become a simple graph. Modification of graphs. What are the modifications that you can make? Is a delete vertex. So delete vertex. If you delete the vertex, you have to delete the adjacent incident edges also. Okay. The incident edges also. We cannot successfully remove a vertex if we do not remove all edges incident to the vertex. Once we remove the vertex, then adjacency matrix will not contain the row and column Once we remove the vertex, then the adjacency matrix will not contain the row and column of the corresponding vertex. The reason is we are going to remove the incident, that is connected edges also. This operation changes the vertex set and then edge family of the graph. And remember, using this only, one more concept is a very important concept called articulation point. So articulation point is that a vertex in the graph, so that by removing that vertex, the graph may be divided into one or more subgraphs, which is called articulation point. Okay. So here in the given graph, 6 is there. If you remove 6, but still the graph is connected. In some way it is connected. It is not divided into one or more subgraphs. Okay, the graph was not divided. Okay. So we can say graph was not disconnected, but still it is connected. But if I remove 2, if we remove 2, obviously the incident edges should be removed. So this edge should be removed, this edge should be removed, and this one. So thereby what will happen? 1, 6 and 5 will become one graph, and 3 and 4 will become one graph. So now here the articulation point is 2. By removing the vertex, the entire graph will be divided into one or more subgraphs. So in the computer networks also, we mainly give the security to the articulation points, because if articulation point was disturbed, then the entire graph will be disconnected. The same is the secret in the military operations also. If any war was happening, they mainly focus on the articulation points. So they will destroy the bridges or maybe any other thing, so that the army or the soldiers cannot move from one place to another place. Okay. So this is the articulation point. So in graphs, especially in computer networks, the articulation points identification is very, very important. Contract vertex. It can be done by contracting 2 vertices into one, so that the size of the graph will be shrink. It will be shrink somewhat. We cannot contract one vertex. For contracting, we need a set of vertices. Minimum 2 vertices are required per contract. You can contract it here. 1, 3 can also be contracted, because 1, 3 is having the common edges, common neighbors 2 and 4. You can also contrast 1 and 2. Next one is modification of graphs. Add and delete edge. Adding an edge to a graph can be done by connecting 2 given vertices. Deleting an edge can be done by removing the connection between the given vertices. So if you are adding an edge, means you cannot add simply like that. You have to have the necessary connections to the rest of the graph. Contracting an edge contraction is exactly similar to the vertex contraction. It removes the edges from the graph and merges the vertices on which the edge is incident. So previously in the vertex contraction, the incident edges has been taken. Incident vertices has been combined. While coming to the edge contraction, it removes the edges from the graph and merges the vertices on which the edge is incident. So if I remove this, in case of this one, if I remove this edge, then this 1 and 3 can be combined. Okay, the incident vertices will be combined in case of edge contraction. We'll see the path and cycle. The path and cycle are very important concept, especially in the routing of packets in computer networks. Routing means, what is the routing? You have seen several routing protocols. Each and every routing protocol in computer networks that we study, that you study in future, will be based upon the same technique, that identifying of the shortest path between the source to destination based upon some criteria. Some protocols will work on the connectivity, some protocols will work on the bandwidth, some protocols will work on the congestion, okay, in the network. So they will always try to find the less congested path to identify the or to traverse the packets. So like that, depending upon some different criteria, the path selection will be happening. So in this, the best example that you study in the algorithm analysis and design in the next semesters, like traveling salesperson's problem. Okay, we can also say that a postman. So postman will collect all the letters what he will get, and he has to traverse in the shortest path to dispatch all the letters. So this, from the ages onwards, the postman used to do this kind of work. So traveling salesperson problem. So a salesperson is there, he has all these items, and he has to traverse through the city in various places, and he has to sell his products. This is what is the traveling salesperson problem. It is a trail in which neither vertices nor edges are repeated. That is, if we traverse a graph such that we do not repeat a vertex nor we repeat an edge. Once it is passed only. You have to go again in the shortest path and reach the destination. Vertex not repeated and edge is not repeated. So hence here one path was shown, example path was shown here is 6, 8, 3, 1, 2, 4 in the neighboring graph. While coming to the cycle means you are aware of, you are going to visit in the same, you are starting from same vertex and again coming back to the same vertex. Traversing a graph such that we do not repeat a vertex nor we repeat an edge, but the starting and ending vertexes must be same. We can repeat starting and ending vertex, only then we can get a cycle. So in the cycles also, vertex is not repeated and edge is not repeated, but the starting and ending vertex is same. You may go in any path, available path, but this is same. So here 1, 2, 4, 3, 1 is a forming cycle. So in the next lecture, we'll see the Euler's graph, Hamilton cycle, Hamilton graphs, and graph coloring on that.